By the time my shuttle finally docked with Arythea Prime, I was so bone-deep tired, I felt like my skeleton wanted to collapse under its own weight. 17 days of non-stop travel, 3 emergency diversions, 2 near collisions, and 1 hyperlane shutdown left me functioning on caffeine, stubbornness, and whatever scraps of consciousness my brain hadn't thrown away in self-defense. I had come here as part of the newly signed Human Arythean Research Exchange, a diplomatic experiment meant to strengthen ties between our species. The Arytheans were taller, stronger, and older than us in every measurable way, something like a blend of ancient mythology and impossible beauty wrapped in bioluminescent skin and crystalline hair that shimmered with internal light. My assignment was simple enough: help catalog the alien megaflora native to this world while living on-site within the royal complex where the research labs were located. Simple on paper. In reality, nothing about Arythea Prime was simple. I stumbled out of the docking chamber, lugging my half-broken duffel behind me. The corridor walls arched into delicate curves, glowing faintly with embedded silver tendrils of alien metal. I blinked hard, trying to focus. My reflection shimmered faintly in the polished surface, messy hair, dark circles under my eyes, uniform wrinkled beyond repairing. I looked like a human tragedy walking. A pair of armored guards stood at the end of the hallway, tall and regal. Arytheans again. Their eyes glowed softly, amber for one, amethyst for the other. They didn't blink the way humans did. Their eyes shifted brightness instead, a subtle pulse that indicated attention. Research specialist Rowan Hale? The amber-eyed one asked.
Yeah.
That's me. I think. They exchanged a glance. He is fatigued, the amethyst one remarked. No kidding, I muttered. You will be escorted to the guest wing, the guard continued. Princess Seralyth awaits there. That jolted me a little awake. Princess? Already? I had assumed I'd meet her weeks from now, after settling in. She was the scientific steward of Arythea Prime, respected for her brilliance and feared for her combat prowess. Apparently, Arythean royal families produced both scholars and warriors in equal measure. I tried to straighten myself out, at least somewhat presentable, but the corridor swayed slightly, and I realized it wasn't the corridor, it was me. Can I maybe drop off my stuff first? I asked. The guards didn't answer. They simply turned, expecting me to follow, which I did, slowly, like a zombie being politely escorted to its final resting place. The first meeting and the offer. They led me into a vaulted chamber filled with shimmering botanical displays, floating vines, bioluminescent orchids, crystalline grasses suspended in soft fields of energy. I felt a stab of awe. Even half asleep, I recognized scientific miracles when I saw them. At the center of the room stood the Princess Seralyth. I had seen still images of her before, but none of them captured reality. She was tall, elegant, with skin like pale starlight and faint teal luminescence running along her throat and down her arms in delicate branching patterns. Her hair flowed like liquid silver threaded with tiny points of light, like someone had woven constellations into it. Her eyes, luminous citron, focused on me the instant I entered. You are human, she said. Her voice was soft, melodic, but each word carried weight. I am, last I checked, I replied before I could stop myself. One of the guards inhaled sharply, but Seralyth, she smiled. A small, curious curve of the lips. You are weary, she observed. Your walk indicates severe lack of rest. That obvious, huh? You look as though sleep has abandoned you, she said gently, stepping closer. Here on Arythea, that is considered a dangerous state. Exhaustion leads to vulnerability. Vulnerability leads to misjudgment. Trust me, I'm well aware. She studied me for several silent moments. It wasn't uncomfortable, more like she was seeing past the fatigue and straight into the core of me. Then she said, "Come." I blinked. "Where?" She extended a hand, long-fingered, graceful, glowing faintly at the tips. "You will rest now. A guest chamber has been prepared, but you are too exhausted to find it alone. I will take you." There was no royal pride in her tone, no command, just quiet certainty and something else I couldn't identify. I hesitated, mostly because I was startled, partly because my brain was moving at the speed of a dying snail. But she didn't pull her hand back. "Come," she repeated softly. "You are safe with me." Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was the gentle glow in her eyes. Maybe it was the way her presence felt like stepping into warm starlight. But I reached out, and she took my wrist lightly, delicate yet strong, and guided me out of the chamber. And that was how it began. Middle. Learning a princess's secrets. The guest quarters were astonishing, full of floating glass architecture and gentle energy fields that shaped themselves to my touch. But Seralyth didn't leave once I collapsed on the resting platform. She stayed nearby, adjusting the room lighting, calibrating temperature, observing the human signs of fatigue. Finally, she spoke. "On Arythea, choosing to touch another's wrist holds meaning." My eyes opened. Sorry. Did I break a rule?" "No," she said, her voice almost amused. "You accepted an offer without understanding the symbol. Among my people, taking another's wrist is an act of guidance. Protection. Sometimes interest." "Interest like scientific interest?" I asked hopefully. She tilted her head, a gesture I was beginning to suspect meant no, human, not that kind of interest. "You are unlike most humans I have observed. You speak plainly. You do not posture. You do not flare your energy to appear larger." "We don't really flare our energy at all," I mumbled. "That is precisely what I find curious." Her fingers brushed a small device near the edge of the bed. A warm, soft hum enveloped the room. My body grew heavier. "Sleep," she said softly. "You are under my protection." I drifted off instantly. When I awoke, hours had passed. Maybe more. The room was dim, peaceful. Seralyth was still there, sitting quietly near the floating wall panel, reading something shaped like a rotating holographic spiral. "You remained?" I croaked. She closed the projection. "Yes." "Why?" She looked at me with those luminous eyes, steady and unflinching. "You are my responsibility now." My eyebrows shot up. I thought I was assigned to the research division, not adopted. Another small smile. Humans misunderstand our intentions often. When a royal chooses to guide someone, it is not temporary. That was new, and alarming, and strangely comforting. Princess." "Yes. Did I just get chosen?" Her eyes brightened just slightly. "In a way." That, in a way, would come to haunt me later. Growing closer, and the ritual of light. Over the next several days, Seralyth took an unexpected interest in my work and well-being. She escorted me to the labs, walked with me through crystalline gardens, explained Arythean customs and rituals. She also watched me, not in a predatory way, and not like I was a subject of study. More like she was trying to understand me. One evening, after hours of cataloging the luminescent flora, I nearly collapsed again from exhaustion. Seralyth caught my shoulder before I could hit the floor. "You push yourself to harm," she murmured. "I call it dedication. We call it recklessness." Her hand rested on my arm, warm and firm. Her markings glowed brighter. "Humans do not see what their bodies tell them," she continued. "On Arythea, those who exhaust themselves must be guided back to balance." She looked at me with that same gentle intensity as the first night. And then she said, "Allow me." "Allow you to what?" She stepped closer, close enough that I could see faint star-like speckles across her skin. "To perform the ritual of light." I tried not to panic. That sounds vaguely like something that could end with my soul being removed. She laughed, soft and melodic. "It is a healing technique. Nothing more." The ritual involved Seralyth placing her hands beside my temples while her markings glowed in synchronized pulses. Warmth radiated through me, melting tension, dissolving exhaustion. My limbs felt weightless, my thoughts clearer. By the time she finished, I felt like I had slept for days. "Better?" she asked. "Much." I drew a slow breath. "Why help me like this?" She didn't look away. "Because I have chosen you." There it was again. I sat up carefully. "Chosen me for what, exactly?" Her expression softened. "In time, you will understand." Cryptic answers. Glowing princess. Alien rituals. My life had become a strange dream. The attack, and what it revealed. It happened a week later. An explosion rocked the lower research wing, followed by alarms I'd never heard before. Sharp, frantic, pulsing with danger. The guards rushed past in coordinated formations. The air shook with distant impacts. Intruders. I barely had time to react when Seralyth appeared from nowhere, her face fierce, her markings bright and sharp like 1,000 luminous lines.
"Rowan."
With me. "What's happening?" "A hostile faction from the outer systems. They target the royal families." "And you're a royal."
"Yes."
"And they know you are with me." That implication hit like a cold shock. "You protected me," she said urgently, "so I protect you." She grabbed my wrist, firm, unyielding, and pulled me through the glowing corridors as armored intruders stormed the halls. The palace shook with impacts. Decorative glass shattered. Sparks rained from the ceiling. We reached the inner botanical vault, a sealed chamber filled with towering alien plants that pulsed with soft light. "This way," Seralyth said, guiding me behind a crystalline pillar. A blast tore through the entryway. She moved instantly, graceful, deadly. Arythean nobles weren't symbolic figures. They trained in combat from childhood. Seralyth proved it as she deflected energy bolts with a shimmering barrier and struck the attackers with precise, elegant force. I stood helplessly behind cover until one intruder broke through from the side, weapon aimed at her back. "Seralyth," I shouted. She turned too slow. I didn't think. I lunged. Pain shot through my arm as I knocked her aside, and the blast hit the pillar instead. She caught me before I could fall, her hands glowing violently with fear. "You," she choked on the words. "You risked yourself for me." "You've been protecting me nonstop," I panted. "Seemed fair." Her eyes widened, glowing brighter than ever. "You do not understand," she whispered. "When an Arythean royal chooses someone, they are bound. Your life is now intertwined with mine." "Well, good," I managed, because I'm not planning on going anywhere. She stared at me for a long, trembling second. Then she fought with renewed fury, because she wasn't just defending the palace anymore. She was defending us. Ending the meaning of being chosen. After the attackers were defeated and the palace secured, Seralyth led me to a quiet courtyard overlooking the bioluminescent forest. Cool air brushed my face. The world felt unreal, like I had stepped into the pages of someone else's destiny. Seralyth stood beside me, hands clasped. "You saved my life," she said softly. "You've saved mine every day since I got here. And you still do not understand why." I swallowed, studying her glowing profile. "Then tell me." She turned to me fully, her markings glowing in soft waves. Among my people, to take another's wrist is to declare interest. To guide is to claim responsibility. To heal is to reveal trust. And to protect, she inhaled slowly. To protect is to bind futures. Her voice lowered. When I first saw you, exhausted, wandering, vulnerable, I touched your wrist. That was the first choosing. My heartbeat stumbled. When you let me guide you, she continued, you accepted. And when I saved you tonight? I asked quietly. Her eyes softened. That was your choosing. Silence hung between us like suspended starlight. So, I whispered, what happens now? Seralyth stepped closer, her presence warm, her glow wrapping around me like soft gravity. Now, she said, I ask a final question, the one that completes the choosing. She reached out her hand again, gentle, luminous, trembling just slightly. Rowan Hale, she whispered, will you come with me? Not as a guest, but as the one I have chosen. My breath caught. I thought of the nights she sat beside me, the rituals, the gentle smiles, the fierce protection, the impossible beauty of her world. And I placed my hand in hers. Yes, I said softly. I'll come. Her eyes brightened, a sunrise behind crystal. She lifted my wrist, brushing her glowing fingertips along it, sealing the meaning behind the gesture. Then you are no longer exhausted, she murmured. You are home. And beneath the stars of Arythea Prime, the alien princess who had taken my hand chose me completely.